Alright guys, I think I found my campsite where I'm going to build camp. And what I got in front of me, which is just beautiful, just worked out perfect. I have right here a very large, tall pine tree. It's all the way up. Okay, and that's going to create some overhead shelter for me. Right, protect me from rain and other things that may occur through the night. Could be snow, you never know. Here is a nice wedge in a rock formation. This would be ideal for putting my campfire right in here, because the heat's going to reflect back off these rocks. Okay, we'll come back up on top here of where it is, and I'm going to build a shelter right here, utilizing the tree in this spot right here for my shelter, with my campfire being right here to reflect that heat into me. Okay, so shortly I will begin working on a shelter. Won't take me long to do it, because I'm lucky enough that I had that space blanket. I can utilize it for multiple purposes. Okay, I can, as a standalone, I can just wrap myself in it, or I can actually build a shelter with it, and that's what I'm going to do. All right, so we're going to continue to check out the surroundings here and identify what else is available to utilize to my benefit for both comfort and warmth and safety. Food procurement, definitely water, because water is basically the next priority right now, seeing as though we've found a campsite. So we have the shelter in mind, we have fire in mind, and now it's basically start utilizing other resources in the area. So we'll continue to walk around, and I'll keep you posted as to what I find. Alright guys, check this out. Wandering around, and I just found a body of water. Large body of water. So now I have water source. So that is no longer an issue. I have the ability to just dip my canteen in there, or my Ziploc bag, and purify it. And how do I know I want to purify it? Well, one, it doesn't look like it's fast moving. Secondly, there's a big beaver dam. I don't know if you've ever heard of beaver fever, but you don't want it. So you definitely want to boil the water. But by looking at that beaver dam as well, oh, there's another one over there. So it tells me there's active beavers in here. And that becomes a positive benefit to me, because now, if I need to, I can wade out there. Obviously, it's going to be naked when I do it, but I can wade out there and set traps right at the mouth of their dams. I catch a beaver, that is a lot of meat. That'll take care of me for quite a few days. If you skin up a beaver and you create jerky, you'll be just fine. Okay? So right there, I've already identified two possible food sources. Beaver dam. Actually, I think that second one is actually a muskrat dam. You know what? They'll work in a pinch too. So, and I have now my water. I have two potential food sources. I would assume that this water also has fish. We will find that out very soon. Alright guys, before we go any further, some of you might ask yourselves, or me, what if I didn't have these items in the kit? What if you didn't have a canteen with you? Okay? What if you didn't have this stuff inside your firearm? What if all you had on you was your gun? Whatever amount of rounds you had in it, and a knife. Well, there's other options. For instance, take a look at your boots. Take off the lace, make yourself a bow drill. It's a little more work. It's definitely a practiced art, and I would recommend you practice that art. For boiling water, well, there's birch. Birch is extremely good for making pots or water vessels. Okay, just the bark alone, it can be utilized in creating artifacts for your needs. Okay, it is able to be done. I have done it. So there are various ways of doing it. I would recommend looking it up on YouTube because there is videos out there from guys that are a little more skilled at it than I am in regards to making crafts, basically, from bark. I would recommend you look them up. They work really well. Okay? So you don't have paracord. You don't have a container for boiling or collecting water. And you certainly don't have any of this stuff right here that came out of the firearm itself. Well, like I said, it is doable. Your bootlaces will work for the fire drill. The birch bark will work for containers. Alright? You look around at your surroundings, you have abundant firewood. Obviously, if you're in the bush, you're going to have firewood. You have a covered forest floor, which can be utilized for making debris shelters. Okay? You don't necessarily need a tarp. You don't necessarily need a space blanket. They're ideal to have. They make things a little easier for you. But if you don't, all you got is a gun and a knife. You can make debris shelters. You can make A-frames. You can make 1,000 things. Right? You out here long enough, you can build yourself a log home. The idea is to identify and utilize your surroundings. Be comfortable with them. Okay? There is a magnitude of things that you can utilize here. For instance, the junipers. Great bedding material. Right? It's very similar in its category to cedar as far as the bark goes. You can scrape it. It will ignite because it's no different. Okay? You have everything to your advantage. But all you got to do is stop and think of what you are doing. And not panic. And that's the key. Don't panic. Alright guys, I'm looking for lashing material. I don't want to utilize my paracord for lashing the frame for my shelter. Reason being is I don't want it to be solely devoted for that purpose. Paracord come in handy for me for better things. Again, for setting traps, for fishing, etc., etc. So what's available for me is a plant. And this stuff is very much like small grapevine. Okay? And it goes all the way back to the ground. It is like a creeping vine. You cut this stuff off and you can utilize it. Okay? You can utilize this stuff to tying and lashing your beams of your shelter. Okay, so I'm going to collect a bunch of this and I'm going to utilize it just for that purpose. Okay, again, saving the paracord for a little more important needs. Okay, that are going to help me out. So I'll get back to you. Alright guys, very quickly, here's what I've done. Basically made a quick lean-to. Taken the space blanket and I put it up, similar to what you would do with a tarp. Got all my bedding material put down. So I can crawl right in here, lengthwise, right all the way across to there. And here I got the fire pit in front of me. So I'd load that with my fire. The heat would reflect off this back rock, bounce in off of the solar blanket and down onto me, keeping me toasty warm. Didn't matter what the temperature would be. Now obviously I would do a lot more to this shelter in securing it, but due to time constraints right now I've got other things I want to show you as we continue. But basic shelter, right? You get your ridge poles. I would throw more ridge poles in, securing it a lot better, and then debris on the back side. Benefit of this is obviously it's waterproof, right? So it's going to protect you from the elements as well. I would definitely block in these ends on both sides. Just keeps any wind from passing through that way. Right, you tuck yourself in right to the back. You'll be nice and toasty warm. All the bedding you want, just throw her in there. I would recommend trying to get it at least 2 feet thick, and it gets you off the ground. It creates a nice thermal layer for you while you're in there. So there's a big, quick, very, very, very easy shelter to throw up with these things. You can do it this way as a lean-to style, or you can do an A-frame where it's actually, here's your A with a ridge pole going straight back and some beams, having it that way. The old A-frame pop tent style worked just as effectively. But just for time, I threw this up very quickly. Again, there's your ridge poles, the main beam. The ridge poles helping support it. And like I say, I would definitely do a far better job than this. Again, time, circumstance permitting, sometimes you don't have that opportunity. And if that's the case, you do what you got to do. But the idea, again, with the blanket, is it for to reflect your fire coming from this fire pit and from that wall. Okay, staying warm. Okay, guys, next step in this process. Shelter was built. Okay, we found the location, got a fire pit. Next step is getting a fire going. So what I've done, as you know, I already had on me some dryer lint and a fire starter. Okay, again, very similar to wet fire, right? Very handy stuff. But I've also taken the opportunity to collect some birch bark. Collected some cedar bark. Okay, I collected my kindling, and then you start going up in progression in size to this, and then obviously to that, and bigger until finally you hit into you're going to burn trees. Okay, so what we're going to do now is get this fire started. And remember, I also had with me Strike Force. Okay, doesn't matter if you have a Strike Force or just a Swedish Fire, or the generic brands. Doesn't matter what you have. The fact is, I had this with me, so again, something that I can utilize to get my fire started. So that's the next step. So we're going to get this prepped and ignited.